Hello, welcome to Heidi Relationships. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy the video. The first story is titled, "My Wife Manipulated Me to Open Our Marriage and Sleep with Her Coworker. She did and kept taking it too far, so I ended things." Look at my page for more of a background on my situation. To give everyone a quick background, I found my wife sexting a coworker. She ended up telling me that she wanted to meet with him and have sex. I agreed and even tried to accept it. They met up a few weekends ago and then met up again this last weekend. I tried to like it, I tried to be happy for her, and I tried to make her happy. She just kept showing that she really didn't care for me. First of all, she would not let me set boundaries for them. I told them that I wasn't comfortable with things and that they needed to stop or at least put a few boundaries in. She refused, saying that it wasn't for me to say what they can or can't do. This past weekend is what really did it in for me. She left Saturday morning without showing a care for me in the world. She made me take pictures of her to send to the guy before she left. She left without even giving me a kiss. At first, she explained that she would be back that night. Nighttime came and she was nowhere to be seen. The next morning, she tells me that she decided to stay the night with him, without even asking or telling me first. That's not even the worst part. That night he invited over one of his friends and she messed around with both of them. She didn't even care to ask me about that first. When she arrived back at the house, she told me all of this stuff. I started to get visibly upset. She laughed and said get over it and that it's not manly. I couldn't put up with it anymore. She obviously no longer cared for me. No spouse would say anything like this to their partner if they actually cared for them. I was just shocked. At no point in our marriage until the other week did I notice any signs that she would be this way. She had always been the most loving, caring girl that I had ever met. It's like a flip switched when she met that guy and she changed into a different person. I didn't know one person could change someone that much and that quickly. I'm 99% sure that she is going to end up dating this guy. She has spent the past few weekends together with him and even talks about him around me. The other night I told her that if she doesn't at least put in boundaries that I will leave. She said, "Okay," and laughed a lot. Without saying another word, I packed up some bags and booked a room at the nearest hotel. I've told my brother about this situation and he has offered for me to come stay with him for a little while. I ended up going to his place for the night. She sent me some texts that night and the next day. She was acting upset and confused as to why I left, and she was saying that she missed me. The next day I knew we needed to go back to my house, so that there wouldn't be as much of a chance that I would lose it. My brother went with me to help. When we got there my wife was trying to talk to me. I had nothing to say to her at the moment, so I just ignored her and tried to get past her. She was grabbing me and trying to hold me. My brother helped get her off of me and told her that he would call the cops if she didn't stop messing with me. She ended up leaving. I haven't heard from her since. This situation has destroyed me. I tried to let her do this to make her happy. I didn't want it in the first place, but I tried to make myself like it to please her. I never saw any signs or anything that she would be this manipulative and this bad of a person before we got married. I don't know where any of this came from. She was the most amazing, thoughtful person ever. Now that this has happened, my whole outlook on life and relationships is different. So, what advice would you guys give me? Whether it's next steps in dealing with my current wife or in the future when I'm back in the dating game. How do I tell our families and friends? How do I speak to my wife about it? I'm having a really tough time handling all of this. A user in the comments said, I am confused. Clearly it bothered you that she wanted an open-ended free pass to cheat and you agreed? Clearly your gut was telling you no and that it crossed your boundaries and you allowed her to do this. She has proven to you that she is a total narcissist who has no concern for your boundaries, feelings, and needs. The only lesson for you is when someone wants you to be okay with her cheating. You end the relationship. It is not about you and what you lack. It is about her and her own selfish cruelty. We must uphold our morals, boundaries, and limits. We must be willing to walk away from a relationship even when you still have feelings for her. It all begins with respecting yourself and knowing your worth. Anytime a wife thinks that your needs don't matter, and her needs supersede yours, she has already abandoned you and your marriage. Seek counseling and surround yourself with people who care about you and support you. Ghost her. Get the best divorce attorney you can afford and let them protect your assets. She deserves nothing. Another commenter said, "Your wife doesn't respect you and you can't trust someone who doesn't respect you. The marriage is over because the trust is gone, and you can't fix it. Talk to a lawyer, get your finances in order and prepare to move on." Your wife will try to apologize and make promises that she doesn't intend to keep, but she's already shown you who she is, and doesn't intend to actually change. Your wife knows what she did, you don't have to explain it to her. You can tell your friends and family that the relationship was fundamentally broken, if you don't want to get into more detail. The next story is titled, "So I've posted many updates about this. I didn't originally plan on posting another update this soon, but I had several people reaching out to me and asking me what has happened since my last post, so I figured I'd let everyone know. I had left her last week and went to stay with my brother. After taking to him and reading several comments, I figured that it would be a good idea to try to go back to stay at my house, to try to make sure that I wouldn't lose it when we got divorced. The next day I decided to go back there. My brother was going with me too. When we got there, my wife was trying to talk to me and grab me. I ignored her the whole time and pretty much acted like she didn't exist. She got pretty rough and was beating on my chest. I finally pushed away. My brother told her that if she doesn't leave me alone that he would call the cops. She finally left after that. I didn't hear from her the rest of that night. The next day I did receive a picture of her and the coworker. It was a normal selfie of them together. There was no text with it. I showed it to my brother, and he said that she must be sick in the head to do that. I finally met up with a divorce attorney for an initial meeting and consultation. It went well and he told me things that I needed to know in preparation for the divorce. He said that the pictures and videos I have of them will be helpful evidence. The only problem with the situation is that she can prove that I agreed to everything, even though there was manipulation involved. My brother and I went over to my parents to sit down and talk with them about what is going on. They were shocked to hear this about her and almost didn't believe it at first. My brother had my back and confirmed with them that everything I said was true. They wanted to talk to her, but I told them not to. The next step was telling her parents. I debated about this for a while as I did not know if it was my place to do so. After a while I finally decided that it would be best to. I know that if I didn't tell them first, she would probably tell them awful lies about me. I set up a time to meet them at their place. I went over alone. After a while of just sitting there and having small talk, I finally built up the courage to tell them what was going on. The looks on their faces were unbelievable. They looked disgusted. They've had never seen this side of their daughter. I was surprised that they didn't put any of the blame on me. They understood that I loved her and wanted to do whatever I could to make her happy. They even hugged me before I left. We were all in tears. They knew divorcing her was the last thing that I wanted to do, but understood that I had to at this point. This weekend I spent most of my time talking to my attorney and chilling with my brother at the house. Saturday night came and I received a text from my wife stating that she was coming over. I texted her back and told her that she wasn't welcome here right now. She didn't listen, and about 20 minutes later she showed up. I felt like I didn't really have a choice at this point but to talk to her. She started off by saying that she had been taking to her parents and they were very angry with her and that they mentioned us getting a divorce. I was hoping that they wouldn't tell her that, as I had not even broken the news of that to her yet. I wasn't even planning on telling her in person. I had planned for it to all be through the lawyer. She told me that what I did was childish and that I must not be a real man because I talked to her parents before her. I told her that I didn't feel comfortable talking to her anymore as she had manipulated me so much already, and that I talked to her parents first because I knew if I didn't that she would lie to them and accuse everything on me. She then kept asking me if it was true that I was really filing for a divorce. I confirmed that I was. She started sobbing uncontrollably and didn't really say anything for a good 15 minutes. She finally stopped and was asking me why I was doing this and why I didn't give her a heads up. I explained that throughout all of this she has been super manipulative and has treated me like I don't exist. I have been so humiliated by her and the coworker. She promised that she would stop if I took her back. I told her that I couldn't. She finally left after that. The next morning, I wake up to a lot of texts and missed calls from her. They are mostly long messages and voicemails of her apologizing and explaining how much she loves me. It really hurt to listen to them because I was reminded of our past and how much I loved her. I was crying like crazy at this point, and it took everything in me not to respond back to her. I just kept reminding myself what she has done to me the last few weeks. Since she left that night, I've gotten many texts from her friends telling me that I need to take her back. They were cussing me out and telling me how wrong it was of me to go to her parents. They said that now, they are the only people she has. This has all been so crazy. I can't believe how emotional the past few days have been. I can't believe that even her parents are on my side. I do feel bad for telling them first and making them turn on her, but I'm glad they are on my side. Her friends continue to attack me and send threats. I have not heard from my wife ever since she sent the long texts and messages. I'm guessing that she is either staying with the coworker or her friends, as her parents are against her at the moment. I'm surprised I was able to stand up this strongly against her. I hope to continue to be able to do so. I think that this weekend was big for me. It showed me that I do have the strength to stand up to her and leave her. Thanks everyone for your concern and all of the kind messages. I will do my best to try and still update everyone on anything major that happens. The next story is titled, My M30 Wife, F30, opened up about feeling trapped in our marriage and planned, happy life with a house and children, how to go on. Dear all, I am with my wife since nearly 7 years. We met when we both were 23. I was a full-time student. She was working since she was 16. I was finished my MSc till 27 and she meanwhile did a BSc part-time next to work. Since ever all she wanted in her life was to own a house and to have a family. For me, marriage was always important, not because of religion, but because I dream of having someone to share your whole life with. So, after I finished my degree, we got engaged and started to plan our wedding. 1 month prior to our wedding, she opened up to me that the thought of marriage makes her feel caged. She also told me that she was somehow interested in my younger brother, for over a year, and had sex dreams of him. My brother looks quite like but back then I was maybe 15 kilograms overweight and he goes to the gym since several years. She also told me that she doesn't understand it since beside him having a good body he smokes weed every day, lives with my parents at 27 and isn't near finishing his degree. And she always wanted to have that stable relationship. We had some talks over it and got to the point that those feelings can happen, but as long as I am her first choice, she cannot change how she feels. She told me those feelings went away later when we started work on the house. You will read it later. In the last year we had similar talks around 3 to 4 times. To let you know something about our situation, since March we are renovating my grandfather's house who passed away. I have a nice garden where a big swimming pool like she always dreamed of has enough space. While in the beginning I wasn't totally into the project, I also want a house, but I can be a bit lazy. When we started it, I dove right into and really started to like the work. As an engineer, all the technical work, speaking with construction companies etc. is in my responsibility, so until it gets to the point where you choose floor or room colors, that's most of the work. The project somehow made me a man, taking responsibility or sometimes growing some balls and fight with the companies because something isn't working out etc. During the first months she was also very into it. But by July, where we hired the first big company, we had a lot of problems with them. She lost interest in the project. She told me, and I believed her, that all the work is too much for her and she needed a break. She worked like no other woman during deconstruction for several months. Around the same time, she started to play an online game. Since then, she spends all her free time with it. She has some guys that she plays regularly with. Some part of me understood her, because I was addicted to an MMORPG when I was 14 to 16, playing was still a lot of fun. That's why I did it so much, and since till now she was the most responsible person I know, I thought she could handle it. I was at the construction site every day after work for 3 more hours, so I basically came home to sleep. Since then she also started to want to cuddle a lot more when going to bed. We do not spend a lot of other time together right now, leading to sex, which was actually lost the cuddling before sex since we were in our first year together, which at first made me live with the situation. The last 2 weeks I turned the work at our house down a bit, because it is also getting a bit too much for me too. When I want to spend time together, I have to offer he something to do because it feels like suddenly, we don't have anything to talk about. Regarding the house she just wants short reports, like you would give to a colleague at work. I hear how much fun she has with those guys. She says they nearly only talk about the game, but I always felt like there is a bit more about it other than the game. Especially because she told me it is so nice to learn about guys from other countries, how their life is etc. On Saturday at 2 a.m. in the morning, she never stood up so late, but no does because she wants to play with the guys from different time zones. We brushed teeth. She told me she would follow into bed for cuddling after finishing doing her face washing and so on. She left me waiting 25 minutes while I heard she was chatting with someone. That hurt me a lot. I told her this yesterday. During the last weeks I feel very unimportant to her. When I got back from work, not normal work, but building our future home, at 8 p.m. while leaving for normal work at 6 a.m., she doesn't even bother cooking something for me. She only told me, "I am so hungry, what do we eat?" We normally eat at 5 p.m. when we both get back from regular work. During the last weeks our communication is very bad and there are a lot of misunderstanding. Partly because she doesn't bother to take the time to talk to me, partly because I feel hurt and don't want to run after her trying to make everything clear. Yesterday after coming home from meeting the plumber at the house, she told me that she feels so trapped in her life, with being married, having a house together and planning to have children. She also told me that she wants to have feelings towards other guys, now it's some of the guys online. And while I again told her that having feelings is not bad, she said she cannot guarantee that only having feeling will be enough for her. She assured me that she had the same feeling for me when we met, but over the time a relationship change. And she was very unsure if we should have children 2021. This was quite a shock for me because for the time I know her, her priorities were always to have a safe relationship with a self-owned house and a family. After that I wanted to spend some time for me, And later on we had a talk where she started with that she already feels a lot better than before. She is on her period right now. IDK, if this explains anything, she never had it before this year because of the pill she took. For me, I still love her, I try to make her happy, maybe a bit too much. The last year I started to work on my nice guy problem and in general becoming a man. I also lost 10 kilograms and changed my body from saggy overweight to fit but with a belly. She is my first girlfriend ever. She had some relationships before but was never an easy to get girl. I honestly do not know how to react to this now. We had a talk concerning this multiple times now, but she never doubted having children with me. At every talk she tells me that it is not about sex but having the feeling you have when falling in love. She says that those would go away again, so she never doubts me as her choice, and she also say that she wouldn't want to have an open or polygamous relationship because it doesn't work with having a family. This invokes the fear in me that she has simply never found the right guy and at some point, she will go away from me. And with this feeling I am starting to question building a house for us and especially having children. Also, because simply putting the house project completely to the side invoked a fear in me that she would do the same with a child. I know I cannot say, make your choice for me now or go, because you need to be able to solve problems like that to stay together for a lifetime. If I would force a decision for me now, the topic would come back in some months or year where in the worst case we would have a young child. I nevertheless feel very hurt and betrayed because I invest nearly all of my free time since the end of last year into the house, read about technical stuff, how to build a house properly, etc., and what she says now not what we always said our relationship would be. Her rowing back in the evening after seeing I was hurt doesn't really help me either, it only makes me afraid that in the future she wouldn't tell me. I don't know how to confront her today after work. Somehow, I don't want to fight for her, because I invest more than enough in our future. And running after her is now what I want to do in my life. Some years ago, I would have done so anytime, but me over the last year gained self-confidence keeps me from running after her all the time. And other hand I fear that showing I am hurt will push her away more. Should I insist that she stops having contact with those guys? This would play right into her feeling caged. I don't know. I hope my story is understandable. English isn't my main language and else I only write technical texts. Please help me or tell me what you think I have to hear. Thank you. A user in the comments said, couple counseling ASAP. She needs to know what she wants for sure. The feeling of being trapped into something is often linked to a loss of identity. She should see a therapist if she is worried about it. Having friends and crushes is somewhat normal. She is most probably polyamorous if she loves or is interested in many people at the same time. If it's only physical, hey, a lot of people do. As long as you draw the boundaries together it shouldn't be a problem. Talking like you do is great but it can take a toll on either or both of you. That's why counseling would do you good right now, just to have an external opinion of what can be done. Another commenter said, I might be wrong, but it sounds like your wife never really got to date much before engaging on a serious relationship with you. Are you her first stable relationship? Or were you her first boyfriend? It almost sounds to me like she has that thought on the back of her mind, am I happy or am I just comfortable? And until she finds the answer to that question then she won't stop having those feelings. It's important to identify where those feelings are coming from and work on the root of the problem. As for you, I think this is the time you talk to her about how you feel. If you don't tell her how you feel about this situation then chances are, she won't stop acting the way she is. Also, I understand you are working hard to make that relationship work. You sound like an outstanding man, so do not be afraid to start over in case you have to. Best of luck to you both. May your journey lead to happiness. The next story is titled, Update: If my M30 wife, F30, feels trapped I need to let her go. Breakup preparation. Many of you guys recommended counseling. We tried that, but I aborted it after the first session, because I could only get her to talk about what she feels, but she made clear she is not going to make any steps in my direction. Still, the only thing that interests her is her online game and the guys who she plays with. She has somehow seen that our marriage is brittle and tries, but I feel that it is work for her and not something she wants to. 2 weeks ago we had a fight because she told me she wants to meet some guys in RL that she met online, all from other countries, so it's not easy in this times, and that if she has feelings for them she wants to act them out. And if it's not okay for me, I can end the relationship. It's up to my choice. In the last 2 weeks I have thought a lot about how to go on. And by now I am quite confident that letting her go equals divorce. Not letting her go see that guys is the only way. I honestly do not believe that we can manage, that we can get together again, because at some point, there was simply no us anymore, and that made me lose my trust in her. It hurts me that she is somehow trying now, but I cannot go on anymore with it. I recently discovered that she shows very strong signs of narcissism. Reading about it online gave me words to describe what was wrong in our relationship all the years. I am going to prepare myself for the following weeks. We live in a flat owned by my parents. I don't want to kick her out immediately, but I will stay in that house, which will be a very hard time for both of us. If you experienced a breakup, please tell me what were the things you think you did very well and are happy with, and what are the things you did wrong. Thank you. Big update: found out she had a cyber affair after actually being ready to make the separation talk when we come home. We fought, I couldn't make the hard cut, and I broke in emotionally. We said we don't want to throw away what we have. But it felt fake. I looked through the files and found out there were self-written love stories with her and one of the guys. It was dated 2 days before I googled online affairs and had the feeling it was exactly that. I came to it because of some posts in the initial post. My belly feeling was right. This gives me a lot of self-esteem. I got all the proof for this as well. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the relationship stories. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and write a comment. I really appreciate your support and it helps my channel so much. Thank you.